Welcome to MedMo Vision 2021 Vision. We're very excited to bring you a hopeful look at new ideas that are coming out in 2021. So this is our third heat of 4, and then we'll have a finals at the end of the year where we'll take the best of the best. And it's a really exciting contest. We did this again earlier this year for our War on COVID challenges, and it worked really well. Getting some amazing companies. So yes, we want to go from the dumpster fire that is 2020 to a very hopeful vision of flying cars and things like that. Hence the logo. So, okay, that's enough of this because I can't see with these things on, but it is funny.
And we can't hear you very well, but that's okay.
You can't hear me? Oh, okay. It covers my double chin nicely though. So, you know, I like it.
Perfect.
We're just going to keep so, you know, which is part of why we're going to be doing a workout in the break this time, because I don't know, guys, if you guys, how many of you were here for the second War on COVID heat, where in our break, instead of doing our Bollywood dance routine, which we did in the first one, we did a workout. Because we were all at home and we weren't going anywhere and, you know, we're getting fat and whatever. So now the vaccine is coming. There's hopeful, you know, Trump's out of the White House. So maybe we'll actually, you know, have some hope for next year. So now we got to get in shape again, right? So so we're going to have go-to practice back again with Joanne Stahl. It's raining out, so I think she's going to come today. Otherwise, we'll just have to exercise our minds, I guess. So anyway, so let's get on with what we're doing here. Thank you, Pat. So what is MedStarter? For those of you who don't know, MedStarter is a comprehensive healthcare innovation ecosystem that bridges the healthcare funding gap. Okay, what does that mean? That means a bunch of startup folks like me and Blaine and a lot of the people who are here today are guys and girls who have created startups. And it's really hard to go from having a great idea, as Atisha Patel, who just showed up, one of our mentors, hey Atisha, I can tell you, to out into the market and things like that. So we started doing events and we started doing contests and then big things with big organizations like the AMA and Takeda and things like that. And finally, we opened up our own venture fund in 2017. So now we can actually get much more actively involved, but we still have the problem of all the thousands of companies we see every year, which ones do we spend our money and our time helping with our acceleration programs and things like that. So we find that when we do contests like this, we go through a due diligence process. It reduces the risk for investors. Go back. I wasn't ready for that. It reduces the risk for investors. And, you know, we've helped literally, this is a very old slide. We've helped probably over 1,000 medical innovations get further faster. Just today, we noticed that Sunny Vu from Misfit Wearables, Eric Tobel from Scripps, they're all guys who are still reading our emails and still getting involved in the stuff that we're doing. So we're very excited. And they might even be in the audience today because a lot of them clicked on this link. So we've run over 200, and this is our 210th event, I believe. And we found some amazing companies like this one, directshifts.com. It was, I believe, our 6th investment. And they're doing fantastically. They are a company that helps doctors get jobs and helps hospitals find the right doctors for a lot less than typical agency services for locum temps, things like that. Check them out, directshifts.com. So now we can go to. So we started back in, as early as 2012, doing events outside of New York City. We started just in New York City, and now we've done about 25 different cities. Obviously, we're going mostly virtual this year, but we look forward to getting back on the road next year. If you look at the shirts Pat and I are wearing more closely, it actually has a series of tour dates that we were supposed to hit this year, but I don't think we really got to too many of those. I think South by Southwest was canceled. So if you want one of those misprint shirts, you know, feel free to fill out the form. Speaking of the form, have you put the link in the, okay, so Pat's about to put the link in the box. Are you gonna put the link in the box?
I'll do that
in the chat box. Okay,
He's
gonna. So our due diligence process is about 6 or 7 steps, depending on how you count. But the very first one, the biggest filter is this one right here. So we had like 25 teams apply just in the last 2 days. We had hundreds of others to pick from, and we picked the team that you're going to see today. So this is what we call a semifinals. So we go from hundreds of teams down to 10, and then down to 3 or 4, maybe even 5 that come out of today. Getting to the next level in due diligence process. A big part of that is you, the crowd, not just the panelists like Atisha and Blaine and the people that I know and trust, but also a lot of other people out there in the crowd who do, we invite you to participate in the judging, and then we'll credential you and we'll look more detail later. But today we're gonna have a winner coming right out of the data that you enter, so that really helps our teams figure out which teams are the most likely to be successful. So as you can see, it's a multi-step process. So thank you. No, you're right.
Okay.
Pat's going to trying to keep me on schedule. So, trying to keep it. So if I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry. We do record everything. You can watch it on medstarter.tv live or later. Is the live stream up?
Yep.
It's the live stream's up. Very good. That's why he's got the propeller hat, because he does all the technical things. So this, incidentally, my partner here is Pat Hurd. Say hello, Pat.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, that's enough. Sorry, that's our running joke now. Anyway, so but we also have some amazing judges who are going to introduce themselves very quickly, trying to once again keep on track. So we've got 10 teams. You can see the teams here. They're also in the judging form. You got links to their projects on MedStarter, or their links to their websites, or whatever we had, as well as the names of the presenters and the names of the companies, sometimes links to the companies and things like that. So they're going to get 4 minutes to pitch, and then I'm going to ask the judges, and if you're in the crowd, you can put your questions in the chat box. 4 minutes for very difficult Q&A. I will say, keep your answers brief, be succinct. You only have 8 minutes total. So if you blow through an extra minute in your presentation, that's going to come out of your talk time. My name is Alex Be Fair. I do try to be fair about these things. Okay, it's a dumb joke, but it's true. So I try to keep it real. And so, okay, so let's get on to the judge intros. What do we have next? There's also going to be a break where, like I said, we're going to work out a little bit, try to get back in shape, myself included. And then we're going to have a discussion, the panelists and everybody just talk amongst yourselves, networking time, while Alex finishes up the math, and then we'll be done. So we're going to try to get through this relatively quickly. When I say relatively quickly, it's still going to take 2 hours probably, but we'll try to go as fast as we can. So we got some amazing judges. And let's see, is everybody here? I see Rahini's here, Kat's here. We actually looked up how to pronounce Edisuka's name before. I have already said it, so I can't screw it up anyway. So why don't you start out, Dr. Lawrence? Tell us 30 seconds or less about you and what brings you here today. Also, don't forget to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yes. So my name is Ediska Lawrence. Growing up, I wanted to build satellites, so I studied aerospace engineering. Then I pivoted into biomedical engineering for my master's and doctorate, and spent nearly a decade at Stryker, where I was responsible for their new product development of their craniomaxillofacial portfolio, taking products from concept to global commercialization. And I'm now the founder of Genius Shield, where we help de-risk med device companies and successfully launch safe and effective medical technologies that generate revenue, but most importantly, with the mission of serving and protecting patients.
That's great, Suka. And my favorite thing about her story is that when she was 15, she said, "I don't want a quinceañera, mama. I want to go to America to study science." I just love that. It's a great story.
Yes.
Coming to America story. Anyway, so who's next?
I'll go. I'm Deanna Dammers. I own a company called Deep Dive Talent, working with startups to help them place their C-suite. I also work for Precision Medical's Global Solution, and that is working solely in PPE right now, helping hospitals and health groups to get PPE. I also have been advising and mentoring with Alex over at MedStarter, and I'm really grateful to be a panelist. So thanks.
It's always great to have you here, Deanna. Thank you. And I always talk about it. One of Deanna's claims to fame, one of the reasons I first noticed her, pulled her out of the crowd, was that she wrote on one of her forms, like you see today, "I would like to invest in this company." And it was actually a really good choice, because that company, Valisure, has done really well. So great to have you here, Deanna. Tisha, why don't you tell them who you are?
Hi, I'm Atisha Patel. I founded Notacare. It's a health tech platform that bridges a communication gap between providers and the patient's family members. I like to use NICU babies as an example. So we send real-time updates to the parents of the newborn. And I also run Teampreneur, and it's a summer camp where we didn't obviously run it this summer, but we teach entrepreneurship to local teams. And I've been, I guess, part of MedStarter since just this year.
Yeah, that's great to have you, Tisha.
Thanks for having me.
Who else is here?
I can go next. The
Hey,
newbie.
welcome.
So hi everyone, I'm Anna Nello. I'm actually not a PhD, so especially I just want to correct that
Okay,
from the
I'm
start.
not.
But although that's very cool, wish I was. So my background's in mechanical engineering. I worked in medical devices, med device design for a number of years, and then switched over to technology scouting and evaluation about 5 years ago. So we're evaluating startups for partnership, and then moved now over to the business development side about a year ago to be more on the commercial end of working with some startups. So really excited to be here.
Great to have you, Ann. It's your first time here, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's nice. It's always great to see new faces. Not a new face, Kat Young, but you are a new MD. So she came to us as an intern a long time ago, went through medical school, finished it, et cetera, et cetera.
She's like in the airport.
Oh, you're in the airport, and she's flying.
Yes.
Brave soul.
Yeah.
Did you vaccinated already, or you had COVID?
have to go see my family in New York. So,
Oh, yes. Come visit.
but
Come
have
in
my
with a
hardcore
track.
mask here. So I'm Kat Jong. I'm a psychiatrist out in Washington State, but originally from New York City. And as Alex said, I got excited about innovation pretty early on and worked with MedStarter back in medical school. And I'm really excited to be back in the area.
Always great to have the medical perspective. Speaking of which, Blaine, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yep. Hey guys, my name is Blaine Workentine. I trained in orthopedic surgery. Didn't really like clinical medicine. I thought it was a lot of overutilization and thought there was more I could do in industry. I've done a number of different startups, had about 4 exits in the last decade. Currently working in the COVID space with a product called COVID Plus. We're doing something around non-surgical musculoskeletal care, which is called Joint Care Coach, and working on feeding the homeless in Riverside through home cooks called Zip Home Chef. And lastly, what was the last one I'm doing now? Oh, and the other one is I work with, I'm the chief medical officer for Sympto Health out of Santa Clara.
You are a busy man, busy man. We got to talk more, Blaine. It's great to see you. I've known Blaine. He's one of the first people that was very nice to me when I first came back into the healthcare space. So I thank you. Thank you, Blaine. Are you in New York or Philly now, or somewhere in between?
I'm actually in Boulder now. I've been in Boulder for about 3 years. Yeah.
See how often I talk to him. Honestly, I mean, one of the things that I think keeps us sane with Pat and I is kind of each other, but also these things every couple of weeks, because usually we see each other all the time, but I mean, this has been a bit of a nutty period, I'm sure, for all of us. So thank you all for coming. And I also know that it's sort of therapeutic as well. So, so feel free to actually after the show, be involved or just, talk it up. So who else is here? I see Betty's here.
Hi, I'm Betty Cosgrove. This is probably my 4th or 5th time judging. Happy to be here. My full-time job is working in business development for global data, accumulating data for and providing strategy for pharmaceutical companies. And I also work as a venture coach 6 months out of the year for ABCT, which is Accelerator for Biosciences in Connecticut.
Awesome. And so glad to have you here, Betty. And while mentioning this, when your mentors are asking questions later, feel free to just, keep it short and just, do one and then let other people ask. I tend to ask a lot of questions, so I try to reserve those for later. And also you can put them in the chat box if you don't get a chance to talk about them. So Rohini, why don't you introduce yourself so we can get off this first page?
Sure. So I'm Rohini Hebbar. For 20 years, I've developed innovative software solutions and driven digital transformation initiatives at global organizations. And I've been working in healthcare ID for over 12 years now, and was recently at an integrated health system where I led the initiative to build an electronic health record ground up. And now I'm working on a digital health startup and also serve as a mentor and advisor for startups and VCs. And I'm excited to be back and eager to hear from the fantastic founders that are presenting today.
Yeah, really amazing companies. There's actually 5 medical device companies again. So I'm glad we have so many engineers on the board today with Dr. Lawrence and Atisha and Ann. Those were all engineered. Also here are one of our investors, George Hatzman. Say hi, George. Or don't. George may be in the bathroom or something.
Hey, sorry, I was muted. Hi, everybody. George, real estate investor over here in London, friend of the fair. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah, my brother would be here too, John Fair, except he's getting a partial knee replacement. So hopefully that goes well. So he's not available. Although we do have Heather Delian-Artis. Say hi, Heather. Heather is, she works with us in the fund. She and her husband are MedStutter venture partners who work with our startups, help them get accelerated faster. Today, she's our timer. So you'd be paying close attention to her startups, because she's the one who's going to be telling you when your time is up. So pay attention very much to Heather Delian-Artis. Who else is here?
That's it.
Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we've got one extra. Jeff. So Jeff is a self-described patient activist or advocate. Tell us about yourself, Jeff. Or not. He also has a startup in the revenue cycle management field, and I guess he's either not around here. But so one of the things we like to have in all of our panels is not just clinicians, not just engineers, not just people who work in hospitals and in large device companies and such, but also people who understand the patient perspective. Now you can say, well, we all understand the patient perspective, but some people understand it much more deeply than others, like my brother, for example. Not just today, but generally, he's we call him patient zero around here, because he's understood and he's been in those situations. Now, anybody over a certain age, has been in those situations, but some people actually have thought about it much more deeply. So Jeff is one of those people, and we really appreciate him. Also, other people like Regina Holiday and Dave Bronkard and all the really amazing patient activist leaders who are here. And I think actually Tiffany Peterson is out in the audience today, since I know she was engaged in some of our stuff and she registered, who also is, a very big patient advocate for lupus, and was actually one of the people who helped us figure out that we should invest in our third investment, which was Miami, which is something that helps patients with lupus. Okay, so do we have any more slides to get through on this part, or should we get right onto the pitches? Okay, so we have a bunch of sponsors and things like that. Judging is important. Okay, so you guys are all judges, not just our official judges, but we ask everybody in the audience, and we'd love to get more data, because that's a big part of our methodology, is getting massive amounts of data on what people think. And by people, I mean people in healthcare. People understand what they're looking at of these ideas, because I don't think that we're the smartest people in the room. I think that collectively we're all a lot smarter. So that's the whole concept between crowd validation. And it's going really well. I mean, the companies we have picked through this process have gone on to be very successful, and making us one of the top performing funds, early stage funds in healthcare that I'm aware of. I mean, I probably shouldn't talk about it, but it's going really well. So we're looking for our next teams, and our typical deal is we'll give $100,000 in cash to the team. They'll actually give some back to us as part of our acceleration fee. And then we'll also have like $250,000 worth of other services and things like that. And that's just how we start. We then do follow-on investing, which checks up to $2 million. So we haven't done a $2 million check yet, but we're getting there. What Pat is cycling through here is this Google form, which is the judging form. So you can see that we have a free t-shirt for you, but also, you fill in the information, and then we have 5 different areas of criteria: clinical benefit potential, feasibility, innovativeness, fundability. So fundability, for example, is if you had your $10,000, would you give it to them? Feasible, is it really going to work? Clinical benefit, is it really going to help patients? Innovative, have you never seen anything like this before? Scalable, how likely is it to go global and be a really big solution? 6 is pretty much just presentation quality. What's your gut reaction? Okay, and then if you want to work with the team, if you want to engage with the team, if you're like Deanna Dammers and you're like, oh, I want to invest in this company, say it there, okay? And that way we can track it and we can say, oh, wow, somebody's really excited about this team. And then if you want to do any follow-up activities, one of the questions early on is, do you want to share your information with the teams? And so we'll do whatever you guys tell us to when it comes to sharing with the teams. So we'll basically parse out the data, send it, don't send it. If you say, okay to send to everybody except for the third one, whatever, that's fine too. In the end, there's a little form that says, you know, send us your address and things like that, and we'll send you one of these cool t-shirts.
We still need the link, by the way.
What, Deanna?
We still need the link in the chat.
Okay, it's the same link as up there.
Oh, yeah, no, but I have to unshare it.
Yeah, Pat's got to do it. Okay, so I should have it here too, though. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get you the link in a second. So without further ado, our first team should get their deck. Are we driving for the first team or that?
No, they're driving.
Okay, so our
But
first team.
FYI, Alex, if you don't go through the entire form, it will not get tabulated. Is that correct?
Thank you, Betty. My experience, you know, I should just hand off the explanation of all this to you guys because you guys are pros at this now. So what Betty's talking about is that don't use the browser buttons in the form. Just use the back and the next on the bottom of the page. 2, if you don't get all the way to the end, it doesn't submit the data. And I'll ask you in the discussion period, before you start networking or talking or getting excited about anything, please submit your data. Last time we actually waited like 15 minutes for one guy to submit his data, and that sort of slowed everything down. So yes, so please finish. And also don't wait for the end to do your evaluations because you're not going to remember. With 10 teams, it's hard to keep track of, you know, that much stuff, which is why we try to capture all of it as we go. So by now, Pat should have put that thing in there. No, he has not.
I'm sorry.
But Active Air is here. Okay, so timer, are you ready, Heather?
Ready.
Okay, so you've got 4 minutes. But before we go, we really got to get that form out there. So I'm going to grab it from the deck and pop it in here because I had it. You know, we think we're getting so good at this, you know, and our first time that we did this, we were a mess, you know, up to the moment we're like, didn't know what we were doing. And now this is like our, 9th virtual event. And we still managed to find something to screw up.
Just sent it in.
Okay, so Pat got it, done. I'm gonna open up my version. So yeah, so just fill out the top part. And once again, this is for everybody to do. We welcome everybody's input and advisement on this. And we actually launched a new mentor program this past couple of days, where we're actually bringing the mentors in deeper to the next step of the due diligence process, which is usually called Investment Review Committee, but now we've made it bigger. So now it's the MedStarter Investment Review Forum. Tell me if you like the name. We're calling it the MRF. Anyway, so if you want to be invited to the MRF, okay, we got at least one laugh. And that's really all I'm going for a lot of time. I mean, I know I'm very serious about what I'm doing here, but you know, we got to keep it light. Otherwise, you know, it's too heavy, right? You think about all the things that happen to people and why we all got into this in the first place. Somebody died, somebody got sick, somebody got, you know, marginalized in some way by some situation that shouldn't have happened. And, you know, we just want to do everything we can to stop that and to make medicine better. A lot of misaligned incentives, and you know, it's, you know, the incentive for innovation though is, you know, the strongest one is we just don't want our people and ourselves to die from things that we shouldn't. So anyway, so hence all the jokes and the silly hats and the Macarena dances and, you know, all the other things that you'll see here today, just to keep it light. Okay, so without further ado, Heather, if you're ready. Folks, if you guys are ready. Judges, are you guys ready? Anybody need more time? I need more time. Anybody else need more time? My role in healthcare. I am a patient activist. I'm an investor. You can share my thoughts. And next, okay, so you all should have done that already. So now you should see the Active Air Boris Leschinsky. Really, your name is Leschinsky?
Yes.
I know other Leschinskys. Do you know Steve Leschinsky?
No, I don't, but not surprising.
George does. He's 7 feet tall. He actually played over in Eastern Europe basketball.
Okay.
Just all sorts of random information. So Boris, take it away. You got 4 minutes.
Thank you. So hello, my name is Boris Leschinsky and I'm the founder of Active Air. So ask yourself, why do we have this meeting on Zoom today? And it's because we are all afraid to be next to each other in the same room. And so our device is designed to change that. And going back to pre-COVID times.
Boris, can you speak up a little bit or get closer to the mic?
Can you, yeah, is it okay now? So The device has a promise to change that and bring us back together as in pre-COVID times. COVID-19 spreads via droplets, which fall out quickly, and aerosols, which are much harder to deal with. In essence, it's a poison gas problem. Face masks are not the right way to protect against the poison gas of COVID aerosols. Good N95 masks are hard to breathe in, while surgical and cloth masks are not very useful. And all of them are uncomfortable to wear in many different ways. Active Air is the first technology solution designed specifically for daily protection against COVID-19. It actively kills the virus in a personalized air supply by using UVC light, allows for natural breathing, and its open face design shows our beautiful smiles and solves many other face mask problems. The device has just a few components built around the baseball cap, the most universal headwear item. At the heart of the device is the air disinfection chamber, in which the passing airflow is illuminated by strong LEDs to deliver sufficient UVC dose to destroy the virus. Clean air is then directed to form a protective air curtain in front of the face of the user. Twice as much airflow is supplied under the shield as the normal breathing volume, so that the user has enough clean air to breathe even when the face shield is up, for example, when eating in a restaurant. The Active Air is a result of a number of inventions that work together to produce a balanced, visually appealing design, which on the one side is effective against COVID-19 and on the other side is comfortable to wear. A phone app complements the device and allows selection of modes, including a boost mode, making the Active Air the only PPE that can be used during exercise. A number of other motorized masks are in the same price range, but they offer a very heavy-handed approach to protection and suffer from the same limitations as conventional face masks. Two go-to-market strategies are planned. Marketing to other companies is based on business advantages of protecting workers in a busy workplace, such as office buildings, meat processing plants, and package distribution facilities. Targeting special consumer groups is based on reducing avoidance behavior by providing stronger protection and better peace of mind. In addition to benefiting individuals, the product will help the economy overall by filling these empty seats in restaurants, gyms, movie theaters, sports arenas, and airplanes. 4 product configurations are planned based on a common design, starting with a passive face shield, extending to a ventilated face shield, and then to Active Air with full UVC protection. First revenue will come in as little as 6 to 8 weeks. The design is now done, IP is filed, and we are ready to go to market. We asked for $300,000 on a convertible note basis to get to production this winter. Active Air is the first product designed for a new reality of COVID-19, when the user encounters a number of different circumstances requiring different levels of protection throughout the day. It is analogous to bicycle helmets, which were a novelty in the 1970s. But once their safety benefit was established, they became universally accepted.
30 seconds.
Finally, about the team, I'm a medical technology innovator with 30 years of experience in executive positions in large and small companies. I have 55 patents to my name and have designed a number of heart assist products and catheters. I create products that work and solve real problems. The Active Air is a breakthrough technology that works effectively, is comfortable to wear, and friendly to use. Thank you.
So I always like to see an actual prototype. Can you show us that? Do you have one? Boris?
Yeah, well, this is the head. It's just a baseball cap and the slide and the device that slides down like this.
Oh, so it's just like this. My paper bullshit.
Well, except that this obviously will be clear, but that's how it looks.
But that's not the clear one like you're showing in the pictures.
That's right. It's not yet because I need.
But do you have the UV light thing?
Yes, I have the. I'm working with a well-known U.S. manufacturer. The manufacturer actually has conducted COVID-19 tests with these specific UVC lights, and they work. And so I do have it all buttoned up.
Okay, I'll stop asking questions. Other mentors, please pipe in.
Do you know what your cost of goods sold is, or how much it costs to build a thing, and what is your price point?
The price point for the final product, for the full product, is $195, and the cost of goods sold is about $25, $30.
Hi, this is Betty. I see a great play not for healthcare. I see it for construction sites where masks are highly they're mask adverse actually on those. But I think you should get some OSHA helmet sort of combination with the mask in order to really make a play there. But that's my opinion. So
Look like you would attach it to a construction helmet. That's an interesting
Yeah,
idea.
it can be built around the hard hat. Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
This is Rohini. Question on, because this is targeted toward COVID, and because this is just not another version of a mask, it's different. What's the plan or approach to work with CDC so that, because they strictly just recommend masks now, and, they have their criteria. What's the plan or approach to work with CDC to get them to back this up and validate?
Yes. Well, the regulatory path is twofold. One is FDA has an EU emergency use authorization for face shields. That's the first one. And the other one is EPA has regulations for pesticides. It's under FIFRA. And so what they say is as long as they do not claim anything that is beyond what I can prove, then that they're fine with that. I do not need to have a special submission for them and approval. I just need the registration and have on file sufficient proof that the claims are substantiated.
Did you have a slide that said what the killing rate is for the COVID or?
Yes. Yes, so the target rate for this with the UVC energy that I can deliver in a reasonable package is 99% or better of the kill rate.
Hi, this is Adiska here. Boris, thank you. Quick follow-up questions on that. So do you have any studies already done to back up that you've done yourself, or this is from the contract manufacturer? Mm-hmm.
That is so at this point, the manufacturer of LEDs, which is at the heart of the whole thing, has their own study done at the Class 4 lab at Boston University, and they show efficacy against COVID-19 specifically. There is a certain dosage that needs to happen, and I have a sophisticated computer model that shows that I can deliver that dosage, probably more than that. So at some point I will have to do my own studies, but they essentially will replicate what is already done by the manufacturer, because I'm using exactly the same source of UVC that was already shown to be effective.
Okay. And then the other question, which I think it's clarified a little bit now, I wasn't sure if you were intending to claim, indications for a medical device, or it was more consumer commercial.
No, FDA specifically says that for UVC to be claimed as a medical device, it has to have 4 log reduction in COVID, 99.99%.
Right,
That's
right.
too much energy. That's too much energy for a wearable device. I cannot do that, but I can do 99%, which is better than conventional masks, even if they're N95s. So for consumer use, that's plenty of protection and plenty of efficacy.
Yeah. And in terms of your regulatory plan, you mentioned you can pursue an emergency use authorization. However, that's temporary. So if you want to stay, and continue with working with COVID-19 indications.
Eventually, yes.
What's the plan around that?
We all hope for this nightmare to go away at some point. So I expect that we still will be talking masks for a couple of years, but after that, it will hopefully go away. And then the product will migrate into protecting against influenza, which is a yearly occurrence in the United States, and other airborne diseases such as tuberculosis and other nasty bugs in other countries.
One quick question, Boris.
That's it. That's 4 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so we're out of time. So now is a good time to point out a couple of things. Number one, in the chat box is a link to the Google Doc. You can see it's from Pat. It's like 4 up from the current one. 2, if you have additional questions, please put them in the chat box. We save the chat for later. And if any teams are presenting and we run out of time for your questions, if judges or anybody in the audience has additional questions, just please put them in the chat box. You can also direct message people, but a lot of people might have the same question or might want to add on to the question. So we do encourage people to just reply to the panelists and the presenters. So that's all time we have for this first presentation. Great job. Very exciting stuff. I will note that the team that won the war on COVID was actually masked. And the big question there is, when is this thing going to get to market? If you had the money you need, how soon could you get these things out there? So answer that in the chat box, not here. Okay, so if everybody will take a moment to fill out their forms and then click the next button. Let's get on to the next presentation. So Pat, next presentation is who?
Mory Bahar.
And is he presenting himself?
Yeah.
Or okay, so Mory, if you're here, which I think you are,
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Okay, so get your screens ready. Judges, this is the first one. So I know Katie, you just got here, so you should be able to see in the chat box. Just fill out that form. We'll give you another 30 seconds. Is also a good time to talk about one of our sponsors. You know, a perennial sponsor for us has been McCarter in English. They've been a great legal resource for us. Joe Daniels is our guy there, and he's done all of our legal work for like 10 years. And he has special packages for our companies that, you know, don't really charge you very much at first. Okay, so hopefully, judges, you guys all ready for the next one? Anyone need more time? I don't see anybody looking down still. Betty, you ready? Betty, ready? Ready, Betty. Good. Hey, Katie, good to see you here. Okay, so on to Personal Remedies by Mory Bahar. Go for it, Mory.
Hello, everybody. Delighted to be here. At Personal Remedies, we provide a totally personalized dietary guidance that's fully automated, that takes into account an individual's multiple chronic illnesses, allergies, dietary preferences, and medications. As you all know, many people talk about food is medicine. We provide the enabling technology for it. We say which food is harmful or helpful to which illness or to a given illness. How do we do that? Imagine your favorite food, let's say grilled octopus. Imagine a chronic illness, let's say pancreatic cancer. There are no studies, no NIH-funded initiative that will tell us that this food is helpful or harmful for this illness. And it's very unlikely that that will ever happen because nobody can get a patent on grilled octopus. However, there's a lot of science available about the relationship between different nutrients and different illnesses. And there's also a lot of data available about the nutrient content of every food.
So Mory, just keep in mind, Mory, you only have 4 minutes.
So what our technology does, it takes into account all of that science and all of that information to establish a relationship between every food in our knowledge base and every illness. You can see all of that in action on our website under knowledge base. And here's how we monetize our capabilities. We have an API that has been industry acknowledged that provides access to our knowledge base and can answer these kinds of questions. Is this food good for this illness? Or what are the best nuts and seeds for this specific illness? Another way we monetize our capabilities is through our mobile apps. We have 44 mobile apps, each focused on one chronic illness and its common comorbidities. And as you can see, the user interface makes it very easy for people to define their profile, get recommendations. We have had over 40,000 of these apps downloaded worldwide. Here's our team. I've been around for a while. I just look very young. Couple of companies I worked for in the past went public. Andrew Lenhard is our medical director, author of a couple of books. Katya has PhD in nutrition from Tufts. And Frank Slutman, frankly, is a rock star in the high-tech industry for those of you who know him. So that's really all I have for now. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Real fast.
Well, that came to a quick close. What's your ask? Are you looking for funding? You're looking to get more people downloading the app?
We're really looking for funding, and I'm glad you asked that question, Alex, because our business model now is B2B, not B2C. We developed all those apps because we could. and because we wanted to play around and prove that we can provide patient-centric capabilities. But our model is B2B. We're looking for health tech companies, telehealth organizations, providers, and so on. Our ask is up to 500K, primarily targeting sales and marketing and business development and ramping up.
So, okay, so I see the diabetes type 2 I have. I can download it for $3.99.
Correct.
That's you guys.
That's me. Well, I assume that's me. Does it say choose this, not that?
Yeah, CTNT. CTNT.
That's it. Choose this, not that. Yes, that's us.
Yeah, we got to talk
apps
about branding a little bit. Okay, so tell me about the clinical study. I mean, I used to work in nutritional carcinogenesis. I know a little bit about it. Tell me about the clinical studies behind what you're doing. I mean, is everything, non-ambiguous?
Okay, so let's talk about how we build our knowledge base. All of the science and evidence related to relationships between disease and illnesses, disease and food items and nutrient information comes from a variety of sources such as PubMed, NIH, various agencies, and Mayo Clinics and Harvard's, and all the studies that any of us would lean on in order to make any sort of assertion. And on our website, we can easily demonstrate the fact that behind every relationship that we show, that we talk about, there is a long list of references that stand behind that specific relationship.
So Mory, I think that's enough information. Other mentors, do you have more questions, please?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Anna. Thanks for the presentation. So how do you account for a difference? I mean, I still have questions really on the clinical piece of it. I think it'd be great. Yeah, it's great that you have backup from publicly available data, but just proving that your solution actually works and what the outcomes of that would be. I think that'd be great, but it sounds like that's kind of TBD. But the next question is, how do you account for genetic differences, microbiome differences, the difference from person to person?
Okay, we are not trying to diagnose anybody's genetics or anybody's predisposition to any illness. What we rely upon is the information that either the provider or the patient already has about themselves. So for example, if somebody goes to our website, they can say that I'm at risk with breast cancer, that I suffer from polycystic ovary syndrome, that I want to follow keto diet, and I'm training for a triathlon. Based on those 4 pieces of information, we provide a highly individualized, fully automated dietary guidance to that person. It is important for me to clarify that we're not trying to make a contribution to the science here. What we're trying to do is deliver a significant improvement over a status quo. So today, if I have diabetes and I suffer from other chronic illnesses, what do? When I go to my dietitian, most of them may know a lot about diabetes type 2 and perhaps obesity and heart disease. But the moment I tell them, but I also suffer from polycystic ovary syndrome, or I'm at risk with prostate cancer in my case, they're going to have to go back and try to figure out what to do. We track 90 different nutrients. Imagine 1,000 food items. 90 nutrients means 90,000 unique relationships. There is no dietitian that can memorize all of that. There is no dietitian that can recall thousands of studies that our AI-based technology digests, aggregates, summarizes, analyzes, and summarizes. So we're trying to improve over the status quo. We're not trying to invent a brand new science.
Great, thank you. That's 4 minutes.
Thanks, everyone.
Are we done here? This is Betty. Have you thought about making this global data ready? In other words, also adding information about what foodstuffs are available in that geographical area. I think that if this really took off, you could be global.
Betty, he's out of time. So yeah, put your question, and these are all, I've got tons more questions. That's the sign of a really good company. Please put your questions into the form or into the chat box if you're not doing the form. Thank you. That was really that was great, Mory. It's good to see somebody's working in that space.
Thanks.
So judges, if you'll take a moment, and actually everybody, if you'll take a moment and fill out the innovativeness, fundability elements. Definitely you're scalable. You're doing good there.
If Pregnabit wants to get ready, they can.
Yes, and if Pregnabit wants to get ready. You guys want to load up your deck. And I'm going to put a couple more of my questions in here in my comment box. My question is, how do you make money other than downloads? And next. Okay, so this judge is ready for the next one. Is everybody else ready? Anybody else not ready? Blaine, are you ready? Are you paying attention, Blaine? Blaine. Okay. So I don't hear anybody saying they're not ready, and I see everybody's looking at the screen like saying, Alex, will you please move us on to the next one? I don't know if you guys noticed, but Heather has made up signs for 30 seconds and 1 minute. If you keep your screen up there, there's an example. It's kind of backwards. Okay, good. I think the 30 is backwards. I don't know why. Anyway, it must be a screen thing. Anyway, so maybe you have to make the signs backwards, Heather. I don't know. Okay, so I think let's move along to our third presentation. And I've also promoted a couple of people that were signed up as mentors and we meant to have here as judges from the audience. So Jeff O'Boy, I love that name, O'Boy. And I believe that's Rohit from Boston, one of our volunteers who's often involved in our startups and knows a lot. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves in the next break, you're welcome to. But for now, if everybody's ready, okay, take it away.
Okay, so I feel that it's my time right now. So I'm glad to present you Pregnabit and the company which represents Pregnabit device, Nestmedics. Our mission is to support healthcare professionals to bring every pregnancy to a happy ending. And this is, I'm glad to present to you device and the solution which exists on the market since 2014. We have a couple customers here in Europe and in PL, a couple of hospitals. We are also working with Helsinki University, and of course also for our first device we get some innovative awards. Our intention was to, solve the problems which exist since 15th, and the technology doesn't change too much. For doctors, what's a shortage of fundamental services, lack of time and attention. For expecting mothers, it was, mainly personality, anxiety, and stress, lack of continuous supports, and of course, kind of worries and taking care for the future baby. This is how we came to our solution, which we feel it's more safety, convenience, less cost and hassle, and gives a better clinical outcome, gives benefit from the patient and from the doctors, midwives, and simply we have implemented a product which is a combination of the device and the IT platform. We give to the patient the device which can be home used, and also we have a telemonitoring center when we care for the data, for the results of the test. We are in close contact with the patient and with the doctor. The current product status, the device consists of one, let's say, medical computer, which is implemented with two probes. One is TOCO probe, the second one is the FHR probe. Also, we are using pulse oximeter, which can separate the heart rate of mother and children. And also, we are measuring manual fetal. The device is a medical device class 2. We have got all the required medical certificate in Europe. And our idea right now, after having several tests, information from the market, from the medical doctors, clinic, and so on, is to develop the Pregnabit Pro device, which you can see in here on the slide. The development will include several different models, so the device can be used in the model B2C, just directly sell to the patient, but also can be used in medical clinic, hospitals, private medicine, and simply we cover the full process, which right now it's so-called gold standard in gynecology.
All right, that's 4 minutes.
And in taking care of babies. So we offer, okay.
Okay, you can't hear me. Jacek, you're out of time there. So thanks. It looks like you made a lot of great progress. If you could explain what you're looking for from this audience, it sounds like you're pretty much in the market already out there in Europe.
We're just in the market already here in Europe, mainly in Poland and Finland. And right now we are looking for global expansion. We are looking for more or less 1 million euros. And we would like to spend this 1 million for a second stage Pregnabit Pro development, and we will use more or less 50% of those budget. Also, we would like to go through FDA United States, and our judgment is that this will cost more or less 20%, which means 200,000 US. We will go with 510K procedure, as we have some similar devices on the market already. Plus also,
Jacek, be succinct. You only have a minute or two left. Do you want other questions, or you just want to answer this question for a minute or two?
Yes, I would like to answer the question.
So, judges, do you have any more questions?
Hi, this is Atisha. I don't have children, so I don't know how this works, but how do you listen to the heartbeat through this device for the fetus? Is it just...
I mean the device is used mainly for third trimester, and this is using the how you call this we are finding and measuring the voice signal of the heart in the baby inside the mother.
You're saying that it's intravaginal?
No.
So it's on the surface? Where are your sensors?
It works. The device works exactly as a stationary CTG. Yeah? It was implemented by Philips in 50s. So, but for now, the device was just only available as a device in hospitals. What we did, we transferred this stationary device to the home use device.
So it's almost like an at-home ultrasound?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Atisha. That's important. Other questions?
I actually have a follow-up. I'm sorry. Is it safe to kind of do an ultrasound whenever you want? Again, like I said, I don't have children, so this might be a stupid question, but
I mean, from medical point of view, it is not necessary to do this more than once a day, but it is fully safe. And you know, in our practice in here from Europe, some mothers in model B2C are doing this test 2-3 times a day, and this is fully safe for the mother and for the baby.
Thank you.
So I see Itsuka had a question in the chat box. What are the indications for use? Same for the US or EU. I don't know if you want to ask that question yourself.
The indication for use will be the home use indication.
The home use indication. Okay, we didn't see that, but okay. And is it going to be the same for as you have right now in in Europe that you have a CE mark for?
All right, last
Yes,
question.
exactly.
Last question. Did your device change classification in Europe because of the new EU MDR? Did you have to do anything about that and how you're dealing with risk management?
No, it does not change the classification. I mean, right now when COVID is occur, we see that there is more and more interest in our device, and professional doctors are, you know, fully respecting the results, because the results, if you compare, and we have such a data, are exactly the same like from stationary CTG. But of course, in terms of, you know, refundation process, it's different. And in here, we have to do some more work. But from the medical point of view, these are exactly the same results.
Okay.
So even you can use our device, you can use instead of stationary device.
Okay. So Heather, do we have any time left, or are we over?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jacek. Very interesting stuff. I definitely feel like I need more information. So I put my comments into section 3 of the Vision 2021 Vision Heat 3 form. So judges, if you take a moment and fill out your information, put any additional questions you have. We'll give Jacek a chance to answer those questions. Just so you know that this is, you know, just part of our process. You know, we actually will send a list of questions to all the teams and then maybe go deeper with them, even if they don't do great today. So I think there's a lot of promise in something like what Jacek is doing, but I do think that there's only so much information you can get in 4 minutes. So, and anybody who wants to be involved in the evaluation process for these startups, we also welcome you in the MERF, the MedStarter Investment Review Forums that we'll be doing as well. So those of you, incidentally, MERF tomorrow includes AlertG, one of our best startups that we already invested in, and Preventive, which you guys may remember was in, what's Heat 1 or Heat 2? They came in 3rd place in one of the earlier heats.
Yeah.
And so they're being grilled tomorrow in our MedStarter Investment Review Forum tomorrow at 1 p.m. If you want to know more about that, email pat@medstarter.com or me, alex@medstarter.com. So without further ado, we've got our next team up, Pablo from BEC. Pablo, you want to put your deck up?
Yep.
Okay, so feel free to share your screen and all that fun stuff. Any questions from the audience about what we're doing here, process? You guys, any problems with the forms or anything like that before we let Pablo get going? Okay, remember, always use the buttons on the bottom of the page to go forward and back if you want to change your answers or what have you to a previous answer. Do not use the browser buttons because that will definitely lose your data, and we love data. Okay, so thank you, Jacek, and moving right on to Pablo. Heather, when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, your camera's off, or maybe there's another Heather. Oh, there's another Heather here. Is that Rob?
It's just 2 computers on.
Okay, she's working both sides. Very good. Okay, so BEC.
I'm here though, Alex.
Oh, hey, Rob. So you are listed as Heather. So everybody say hi to Rob DeLeonardis, also known as Heather DeLeonardis, husband to Heather DeLeonardis and one of our partners and investors. He works with our startups to help them get their sales and marketing popping, and helps deal with big institutions like Mayo Clinic or what have you when we have great stuff going on with our startups. Done big things, and a great guy to have on the team. So thanks, Rob. Okay, take it away, Pablo.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, we're going to talk today about Beck. Beck is an extract from the family of the eggplant. It was discovered several decades ago, and now it has become into different products that basically will treat cancer and several other illnesses of the skin. Okay, so basically, Beck in topical formulation has resulted in a product named Curaderm BCC, okay, which is the first one there. So Curaderm BCC acts against skin cancer. Now, skin cancer is a disease that is the most common cancer among humans, and there's more cases of skin cancer than any other cancer type of cancer combined. Okay, so skin cancer is basically the ultimate thing in cancer. The problem nowadays with conventional treatments is that conventional treatments use either surgical excision or they use chemotherapy in topical formulations, or they may use radiotherapy, cryotherapy, or things like that. All of them basically have several weaknesses, which are they have systemic side effects, or they leave marks, or they produce marks or scars, and basically they result in problems for the patient. And the reason why these conventional treatments apply today is because, in theory, there is no simple, safe, effective treatment for skin cancer. Well, now we have this safe, simple, and effective skin cancer treatment, which is just a cream that people apply it in the convenience of their home. They buy it over the counter, and in a period of 8 to 12 weeks, the results are of nearly 100% success rate. Okay, so the market for skin cancer plus actinic keratosis, which is a not yet a cancer, but it's a pre-cancer.
So Pablo, are you trying to advance your slides and they're not working, or is it just me?
Sorry.
Are you trying to advance your slides and they're not working, or?
No, I'm trying to explain. I'm not going to move the slide because it's just 2-3 slides.
Okay.
So the thing is, the market, the worldwide market, we're talking about nearly 20 million cases between skin cancer and actinic keratosis. Okay. Now, besides this, Curaderm also works on solar spots of the skin. That is a market that is huge among people above 40 years old. And we're talking about an immense market in this case. Basically, what it does is it takes out the solar spots of the skin. So now, besides this, Beck has resulted in another product, which is Sorend, which attacks psoriasis.
30 seconds left.
Psoriasis, there's no cure for psoriasis apparently, but there is with Sorend. There's a market of 125 million people with psoriasis because there's apparently no cure, but Sorend brings a cure, okay? And finally, we have an anti-aging cancer preventive line of business, which is moisturizers and cosmetics with cancer prevention scheme.
Right. Thank you. That's 4 minutes.
Okay. So that's 4 minutes. Sorry, it's just not enough time for you. Yeah, this just does emphasize for teams that you gotta try to get your entire message across in 4 minutes. So you don't want to break it down. So questions from the physicians or other scientists and clinicians and experts?
Hi, this is Deanna. Just wanted to quickly ask, how much money are you looking for? And is this already in the marketplace?
Curaderm is already in the market. Sorend needs approval. So it's just going through the health authorities and requiring approval as we did with Curaderm. Now, Curaderm is already approved for Europe only, okay? and because we are starting in Europe first. The product Curaderm is already in the market. We are starting sales in Spain. We already did some sales, and we are working a lot with estheticians and cosmetologists. And the next step, once we get money, is to go to the public for the skin cancer, not only for the cosmetic application.
How much are you looking for?
We are looking for 500,000, and that will allow us to approve Sorend and the cosmetic line, and also to have working capital to expand all the businesses throughout Europe initially, and then throughout the world.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but is it a retinoid? What is the active ingredient?
The active ingredient is an extract from the eggplant. It's a natural product. The eggplant, the eggplant. It's a
but what's the mechanism? What is it?
It's a series of glycoalkaloids that form naturally, and then it results in this compound BEC, and then you convert it after some ingredients into Curaderm. Another.
Let me guys butt in. I'm the medical expert in the group. Pablo is our financial expert. BEC are glycoalkaloids that work through a very unique mechanism of action that relates to endolectins that are overexpressed in abnormal cells, but not in normal cells. And these glycoalkaloids have a very special residue, which is rhamnose, which is a sugar plant that happens to have very high affinity for these endolectins. So it's the only cancer acting compound known to work to a very specific receptor mediated mechanism.
Okay, so it's basically not going to burn the skin, but it's going to, for example, is it also going to work on like seborrheic keratosis, like any abnormal growth?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it doesn't have any impact on normal cells.
Okay, other questions? How are we doing on time?
A minute left.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So on the slide, you say that you're going to start with early clinical trials in the near future, but you're also saying that it's already in the market. Could you just clarify that for me?
Yes. So I didn't get to that point, but the thing is, BEC not only works on this product that you see here, but also we've tried on early clinical trials BEC on other type of cancers, okay? And our early clinical trials on other type of cancers works very nicely. So the results are very, very promising. And that's why we're mentioning that. But this is not a product that is already there, okay? The other products are there.
How quickly can you get it to the US market, the Curaderm BCC?
Immediately. The thing is, we need cash to get it approved. That's it.
Thank you.
Actually, to clarify a little bit that point, again, butting in on the technical medical side, Curaderm is approved in Europe as a medical device, and it's because of the very low risk to the patient. The active compound does not exist in any pharmacopoeia, so it's not a drug. Approval in the US still needs further investigation because the understanding of medical devices in the US is different from Europe.
Okay, so guys, I think we're out of time, right?
Yeah.
Right, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
I don't know who the next guy is because I don't have my phone up. So that's great. Thank you. Very interesting stuff. I do want to see more information about your clinical efficacy and studies. I see that you guys, they do have a project on MedStarter. So for those of you who are, playing the home game and scoring, there's a link to their MedStarter project. You can also find it on the homepage. Although I will say, guys, you have to make your video public because nobody can watch your video currently. You might not know that because maybe you've allowed yourself to see it privately. But there is a lot more information about the company on medstarter.com, so you can find out more information there. You can also ask them for more information in the forms, as previously discussed.
Next is going to be Max.
Okay, so our next and our fifth team.
Implandata.
Yes, is Max. So Max, if you'll share your screen and bring that up. Judges, if you'll finish doing your forms and get ready for the next one. I'm sure a lot of you guys do it like I do in between while people are answering their questions and or throughout the entire time. So I'm sure you guys are all ready. I am not ready, but that's okay. I can catch up later. So Heather, timer if you're ready.
Ready.
He's ready. Cool. And now, so just to clarify, when we hear that dink, 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 that's your end of time thing, right?
That's right.
That's very nice. I like that. So just so you know, if you're talking, Max, and you hear the dink, dink, dink at the end, that means you're done. You should move on to the questions, or you should just stop talking because I'm going to stop you eventually anyway. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, my name is Max Ostermeier, and I'm the CEO and founder of Implandata, and we are going to transform the management of glaucoma patients by introducing remote monitoring and management of the disease. So quickly on the disease, basically we have right now approximately 80 million people at risk of permanent vision loss because of glaucoma. And because glaucoma is an age-related disease, we will see a significant increase in the number of the patients in the coming decades. And despite a wealth of treatment options, there is still a lot of patients losing vision and getting blind because of the disease. And you ask yourself, why is that? The challenge right now in glaucoma care is that it's eye center based, resulting in more than 15 million office visits per year only in the US. And typically a glaucoma patient goes and sees the eye doctor 3 to 4 times per year. But in between this office visits, the disease status and the therapy effectiveness is totally unknown, resulting in inadequate therapy and resulting in loss of vision at patients. And so we have implemented the IMED system, which is now CE marked and introduced in Europe. It's a system by which we gather important disease information at the patient under normal life conditions around the clock via biosensors. And this important information is sent into a secure database where it's processed and delivered to the eye doctor. So the eye doctor knows exactly how a patient is doing with a therapy, and that enables him to really early on adjust therapy when necessary. Equally important is the involvement of the patient. So we have done a patient app by which patients can monitor their disease and how they respond to therapy. And that also results in improved therapy adherence by the patients. So patients are extremely excited about the system because they have a disease by which they can lose vision, and now they can really monitor the disease by themselves. And that's really empowering. And patients tell us that it's reducing their worries to lose vision because of glaucoma, and nearly all patients would recommend it also to other patients. Even excited are the eye doctors because now it's enabling them to personalize treatment of patients. It allows them to understand what's going on with a patient, with a specific patient, and they believe that our system is going to transform glaucoma care. So the business model is based on a subscription model. Glaucoma is a chronic disease, so that secures long-term revenue, sustainable revenues. There is already reimbursement codes in place for patient monitoring. And so that, as I said, ensures long-term revenues for the eye doctors as well as for the company. So in summary, we are far ahead of the crowd. There is some competition, but we have a first market mover advantage. We do have CE mark and extensive clinical data showing safety and utility of our device. We have started a breakthrough device designation process with the FDA. And in order to proceed with the FDA regulatory approval, we are right now raising a 20 million Series D. And part of that is also for scaling up the manufacturing and launching the product in Europe. And so the company's goal is to position itself for a trade sale in the next 3 to 4 years to be acquired by one of the large players like J&J or Alcon, which have already set kind of marketing infrastructure in place for global commercialization of our product. All right, I think that's in a very nutshell, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you for actually keeping it on time. That was great. Any extra time you have now will actually be put into your Q&A session. Okay, great. So mentors, what do you got for questions?
I have a question. This is Anne. Thanks, Max. I'm sorry if I missed this, but is the product an implant or is it a contact lens, or
Actually,
how does it work?
Very good question. Actually, it's a tiny implantable microsensor which is placed inside the eye. And right now we are placing it in conjunction either with cataract surgery or glaucoma surgery. So anytime you have a glaucoma patient, either undergoing cataract surgery or glaucoma surgery, you would be a candidate for that. You know, we are piggybacking. And in the US, you have 4 million cataract surgeries a year. And out of that, 800,000 patients do have also glaucoma. So potentially we could address these patients. We are already working on an injectable version, so which can be placed in a 5-minute in-office procedure in a sterile environment, but it really requires that tiny microsensor, which is continuously measuring the eye pressure of the patient. And by that, you know exactly if the eye pressure is under control, and because glaucoma is a pressure-related disease, and so you know exactly if the therapy is working for a patient, or if you have to adjust therapy. So it really allows you to early on adjust therapy when necessary.
Okay, great. That's helpful. And then what outcomes do you have already? Have you run studies and do you have outcomes?
We haven't done a prospective evidence study yet. So we have done studies for showing safety for attaining CE mark, but part of that FDA study will be also efficacy endpoints. But we have anecdotal data kind of showing that by continual monitoring of central pressure, patient's pressure is better under control versus being not monitored. And as I said, that's anecdotal data, and we want to do a prospective evidence study for reimbursement purposes within that FDA study.
Great, thank you.
Great job, Max. This is Paulo Machado. Any thoughts on the provider side of this? And I apologize, I came in about halfway through. Any thoughts on the provider side? Have you talked to them? What are they saying about this? This is all going to come down to them finding the people and putting it in them, right?
I think, you know, the eye surgeons really like it a lot because eye surgeons do surgery all the time, you know. And at the same time, you have various stakeholders. You have the eye surgeons kind of placing the device, but you have also the eye doctor kind of really being responsible for the management of the patients. And by that reimbursement code for home monitoring, I think they can provide better care, but at the same time also can generate sustainable revenues.
So this is
so
yeah, I tend to agree with
how,
you.
How excited are they about this around adoption? They can't wait, nice to have. Like, what are the providers saying?
You know, I had been at a meeting where I also presented, you know, and there was a poll done, you know, and the question was, is that necessary? And 100% of the participants of that poll agreed that better monitoring of glaucoma patients is so necessary because at the moment, you know, patients are seen only a few times a year by the eye doctor. In between, you don't know what's going on with them. And you have patients with pressures that seem to be normal, but they still progress. And you don't know what's going on with the patient. So the ophthalmologists are really eager. For them, it's a dream coming through. And it's, I think, also represented by that breakthrough device designation by the FDA, that there is an important need for better monitoring and management of glaucoma patients.
One quick follow-up on the payer side. Have you spoken to insurance companies and what are they saying about this? Easy to get covered, hard to get covered, can't wait?
Actually, you know, with the breakthrough device designation, you will have already a provisional reimbursement. And for the patient home monitoring, there's already a reimbursement code in place. And so for the payers, it's interesting because patients progressing are more expensive than early stage patients. And so keeping a patient for a longer period of time or forever in an early disease status is less costly to them as a late stage. And as I said, remote patient monitoring is also important because we will see a significant increase in the number of patients while the number of doctors will not grow at the same speed. Another feature, you know,
so Max, that ding-a-ding noise, that's you're done.
All right.
Sorry, my bad. I was trying to catch up since I missed a couple earlier.
All right.
That's okay, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
So great job, Max. Very interesting stuff. To answer questions coming from the judges and such, if you have additional questions, now if you guys want to look, there's actually a deck. Let me try doing it for mine. I'm going to try sharing.
That work?
Okay, yeah. Try hit next.
Okay.
Okay, good. We're up. Okay, so go.
Yeah. You can go back one slide.
Okay. Your time starts now.
Okay. Over the last 2 decades, not only did I work with all age groups from age 3 to 30 years. I also worked with the families over the course of 30 years. Next slide. Because it is so complex and challenging, it leads to a lifetime of isolation for the parents.
Next. Next.
One of the biggest struggles is that these children need full-time support throughout their lifetime. Along with that, parents have to integrate additional therapies and interventions, fill out medical bills and insurance paperwork, manage support for multiple children, and manage household chores. No one should have to do it alone. Next. These challenges have long-term effects on the well-being of the caregiver. Raising a special needs child is 10 times more expensive than that of a typical child. Average child is $240,000 throughout their lifespan, whereas a special needs child can go up to $2.4 million. Next. Our solution is Parents Plus. Parents Plus is a real-time, needs-centric digital platform enabling special needs parents to get the support they need from the people they trust. Next. Our mobile app helps leverage the support of loved ones. Most loved ones want to help but don't know how. The sensitivity of being a parent of a special needs child causes gaps in communication, which only grow with the passage of time. Next. Parents Plus works in 3 simple steps. You create a profile for your child. You customize your child's needs onto the home page, fill in the data that you require, and then connect with friends and family. Next. We are a far more robust platform. We are trying to fill each and every need, but then because we are customizable and no 2 children are the same, parents are able to customize their homepage, only having the needs or the features that their child specifically requires. Next. We have so far completed our MVP. We are creating partnerships through community outreach, testing with families through accredited organizations, and we hope to go to market in January. Parents Plus is currently being tested by bridgingapps.org, which is part of the Easter Seals Foundation. Next. Our platform services all 3 categories. We hope to go to market with through partnerships with other organizations and nonprofits who are already working with these communities. We hope to partner with the enterprise professionals who are working with these families from day one, and also direct to customer, because most of these parents spend a lot of time on social media because that is where they get to spend time and build their community. Next.
Okay, so I think, Seema, I think your 15 minutes is up. Why don't you wrap it up in like 10 seconds?
Okay, so our market size is constantly growing. Our revenue model is subscription-based. We would like to also give back to organizations, and our ask is $500,000 for our early stage round. Our funds will be securing engineering, marketing, and salaries.
Okay, so good. So let's start the question and answer session. You got 4 minutes. Questions?
Quick questions. I mean, nice job. Just curious, when you say connected resources, how are you building out that network? Because you're trying to build out everything. What does that look like, especially at a national scale?
So basically the app is controlled by the parent, and we are leveraging our platform to incorporate the unpaid support that parents usually miss out on because they're so busy with the professionals that there becomes this void between the family of the special needs child and their relatives and friends because of the gap in communication. So because there's so much stress and because they have no choice but to deal with professionals, it's the little things that get lost, which creates a lot more stress. So if you can have your friends and family help in and support in any way, from babysitting an autistic child to bringing in food if your child is going through extensive therapies, it's up to the parent to provide the information and their needs on this platform, so that, and connect with family who is willing to support them, so that people can find a simple way to solve a very big problem, which may be a simple problem, but it becomes a big problem because the parent and the caregiver of the special needs child is just literally running
Seema?
tooth and nail. Yeah.
You spent 2 minutes on that one question. Try to be more succinct in your answer. So is this launching in the US? I see a lot of Pakistani kids or what have you. And then, okay. Other questions?
They're launching in US. My experience of 25 years was working with these families in third world countries where they did have a lot of support, and which made me realize that because they live in extended families, and in US people are basically in so-called nuclear families, this would be a much more important solution for the developing world as well as the developed world, both.
And you're only thinking B2C, you're thinking that the families pay $6 a month?
Yes, that is our basic.
Have you explored going to, risk-based providers who are dealing with this?
Yes, we want to expand into that market when the time comes, but at this point, we want to work with families so we have a very strong user data.
Okay, 1 minute left. Any other questions?
Why the focus on children when actually most family caregivers are pretty well occupied with a number of different generations, not just the young?
So because there are so many different types of caregivers, the special needs caregiver is the one that gets lost. And they are also the one that once you get them on a platform, they will be your lifetime customer. These children, when you're born with the special needs, most of these children with autism and Down syndrome, they have this disability for the lifespan. And most of the people focus on caregivers for the seniors or the elderly.
Okay, you got 10 seconds left. More question?
I was going to ask about competition, but I don't think she has time to answer.
There is a competition slide. We do have a lot of different tasks specifically for a specific need, but we are trying to cover all the different needs. So we do have competitors.
You have no idea what, that's the alarm. Okay, so we're out of time. Great job. Sorry about technical difficulties.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
And I apologize.
This is my very first pitch.
Oh, well, you did great.
Thank you.
we can, and also judges, if you want to take an extra minute or two and write, suggestions. Yes, and she did admit this is her first pitch. No, I think you did great, especially the technical difficulties. I would recommend maybe putting less animations onto the slides, whatever it was that went wrong with your deck, both your there and here. It was pretty
my PowerPoint just crashed.
Yeah, well, geez, sometimes when in doubt, pull the plug out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Neil Sofian, if you want to get your deck loaded. I don't know if Heather came back.
I'm here. I can do it.
You are. I did a really crappy job of timing. It took like 15 minutes. It was all my fault. So yeah, and my alarm is wonky too. Anyway, so Neil Sofian from Tuzog. Lindy, are you here? I know we promoted you out of the audience before, but I don't think I've heard from you yet. Where is Lindy? Did you promote her out of the audience?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, a fellow investor, somebody I can learn a lot from, recommended Tuzog to us and Neil. So we do like to get recommendations from mentors, teams that they're working with, or they're impressed with. So it's a good way to get our attention is a warm lead. You still have to go through this gauntlet, so don't give them any. Don't take it easy on them. In theory, they've had a lot more exposure to.
Hey, Alex.
Lindy?
Just wanted to say hello. Been enjoying this afternoon with everyone, and hope you guys enjoy Tuesday. Neil is one of the most fascinating entrepreneurs that I get to work with, and I think his product is absolutely necessary. So I'll let him do the sales there. But,
Jury, please disregard all comments from the other investor.
Please regard all comments from the other investor.
Yeah, that never works, right?
Yeah.
Strike that from the record.
So can you see my screen?
Great having you here, Lindy. Heather, when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, judges, you ready? Go take it away, Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil Sofian. I'm the CEO of Tuzag, and I've spent, sadly, the last 45 years of my life in healthcare. I'm a public health guy. Fundamentally, the bottom line is half of all healthcare costs are tied to behavior and what people do. And when you start particularly looking at aging populations, believe it or not, 10,000 people every day become 65. And by 2030, there'll be 73 million of us old people, not to mention all the next generation has to take care of them. And most of those people do not have the dollars to actually have the care they're going to need as they get older. And even worse than that, when you look at not just that population, but the chronic care population, which is 81 million people. We have a huge healthcare problem facing us in terms of trillions of dollars. And fundamentally, it boils down to consumer behavior that's going to drive it. All the other kind of one whiz bang things that we talk about may be cool, but it's ultimately how do we behave that makes the difference. So what we've created is Jamie, and Jamie is a virtual member of your care team, whether that's at home or in a care setting. And essentially what she's there is there to build the relationships with you that through digital relationships that can get to know you, get to understand your needs, monitor you if necessary, and then help connect you to the services you need on an ongoing basis. So she's both your concierge, your companion, your monitor, and even your friend. And that we can do this through an infinite tailoring engine that we've designed and built, and that can create computer-mediated relationships, and that we can do this in an omni-channel way that crosses voice, mobile app, email, text, print, or smart TV. Some people even want tailored print, and as you get to older groups, it can also be with smart voice technology, and all those can integrate during the course of one conversation. It scales because she never takes a day off. How can she be used? She can be used in terms of real-time support in emergent health issues, home care and aging in place, connecting you to services, managing complex care and connecting you back to care providers, case managers, and family members so that they know what's going on, as well as decision support to navigation throughout the healthcare system, and essentially connecting an ecology of care. So not only does she talk to you, the individual, not only can she find out through smart technology how she's monitored you. For example, if you have a smart pill bottle, it's one thing to know if you took the pills or not. It's another thing if she says to you, "Hey, Alex, I see you took your pills. How'd you do?" "Well, I feel like crap." "How come?" "It makes me throw up." "Have you told your doctor?" "No." "How about I text your doctor and let him know?" "Oh, okay." New script comes out because of that. So it can help with that kind of process and integrate to the whole care. It can also be used within care delivery systems or payer systems so that it can actually, from the moment you onboard in a healthcare system or an insurance system, can get to know you and essentially become your ongoing concierge to the services you need. We actually do have a product. The platform is built. We've worked with groups like Abaddon Health, Vanderbilt Health, Alliant Health Benefits in terms of building this for employer networks. We've also built it inside a number of other companies so that it can actually sit inside of other people's apps to be more to personalize their apps. And we're right now building a relationship with Abaddon Health to make this so that it'll essentially be the basis of their platform for all forms of coaching and connection. We're also building pieces with a company called Sensible around metabolic health. We have built letters of intent with a large number of folks so that we can actually build those channels out for where we are. We've raised about 810,000 bucks to this point, as well as the revenue. We're looking for another 500K in convertible debt. That's going to be followed by a $2 million seed round. We really do have a significant pipeline, and our use of funds is going to be in terms of ongoing content development, sales and marketing, building more channel partners. And our long-term goal is to move this towards the ability for it to become a SaaS. So that way, actually, people can build their own tailored communicated, their own Jamies. That will be
Okay, that's great. Thank you. That's 4 minutes.
Okay.
So, Neil, I want to hear about who on your team has business experience. I know you've got public health experience, but I don't see a team slide here, and I want to know who's your hustler. Who's gonna make money on this?
This is my third startup. So I was the founder of Free and Clear, which was the first telephonic and now largest smoking cessation program in the world. The second startup was I was then recruited away and did a startup for Monsanto.
Okay, so it's you.
So that's me. And the founder of the company, Dave Bolger, also was the founder of a company called Micromass, which was the primary provider of tailored communications in pharma. So we both have
set up. Okay, next question.
Okay, so you know Dave?
No, I think you need to know when guest has gotten to, and then go on to the next.
Okay.
Letitia, do you have a question? I see you're laughing.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you have different languages that you've implemented in this platform?
No, we have not, but we're in the Google Cloud, and so pretty much the translation is not problematic. The one issue will be making sure we can be culturally appropriate after we do those translations.
Okay. Other questions?
Neil, can you give us some, great job, Neil. Can you give me some feedback on two things: adoption as it relates to consumers, stickiness, how much they use it, how fast do they drop off? And the other part is, how do you do customer acquisition occurring when you're partnering with all these B2Bs? That seems to be usually a hurdle when you're working with the B2Bs. Once they buy a program, not great at getting it out there.
Two things. One, our adoption rate in the prototype we did for Primera, we got about a 950% increase of adoption for people connecting to services compared to traditional messaging. As far as why B2B, for right now, we're doing it by sharing revenue with them so that they have a financial stake in it. If you're thinking of this from a how can docs manage remote patient monitoring, they get paid on CPT codes. So this helps them do it cost efficiently, or if it's ACOs, it helps them control costs. And from employers through the channel of them, through the Alliant and the locked-ins and all that, it's a way of differentiating themselves from the plans. And they're willing to work on a shared revenue model that's essentially a distribution system.
So have you developed some clinical outcome measures? And if so, what do they look like?
We don't have clinical outcome measures at this point. And quite honestly, we are not the thing to judge us on is how many people did we get connected to doing the right sorts of things with the right sorts of providers, and did they follow up? We're really not the people who are doing the clinical outcomes. If we connect you to a smoking cessation program, what you're looking to us to say is, did we get enough of the population to do it? As opposed to, did that program work? That's a separate decision. If I get you to the Parents Plus, that's my job, is to get you there. I'm the concierge.
So are you viewing this as the health plans or whoever your B2B is? They're going to hand you over a list of client phone numbers, emails, and you're working the list to get people to adopt, or are they doing the work?
We're doing the work. We're doing the work, and we can also set it up where it sits behind, if they want it, it can sit behind their firewall, and then we can push it through things like their Salesforce or through whatever system whatever CRM they're using.
And I may have missed, how many people have tried this already?
It's relatively small. We've probably had, it's in the thousands, not in the tens of thousands yet.
So, but Jamie is done. She's ready. I mean, you gave your demo as you being the chatbot. I mean, if we want to
yes. And in fact, in the materials I sent to you, there is a link you can listen to me doing a live demo with Jamie. Our product with Avedon will be going live 1/1.
It's pretty exciting stuff. More questions? We have time. Oh, 30 seconds left. One more question.
Since you are targeting the older population, how do you get over any resistance to technology?
What I found, I actually talked to my mother a lot about this before she died when she was in home hospice, and that fundamentally, I think voice is going to be a huge part, and television, smart TV is going to be a huge part, where essentially all they have to do is talk to the hand, so to speak. And I also think if you make it contextually relevant, my mother would look at Facebook because she could see great grandchildren. So I think it's a matter of making it really contextually relevant to them and simple.
Great, thank you. That's 4 minutes.
That was a great job, Neil. Really good to see. And thanks, Lindy, for the recommendation. Judges, if you'll take a moment to fill out your forms. And if Fred, you'll bring your deck up and get ready. Fred Chaslow for talking about potassium. Oh, actually, Pat's driving.
Sorry, Alex, you can wrap my knuckles later.
I can wrap you what?
I think you could wrap my knuckles later.
I'm not a. I mean, I do make fun of people a lot, but you know, it's like more like a Mr. Cotter thing, which I'm probably dating myself. Oh, and incidentally, Neil, I'm not over 65, although I may look it. So I'm glad to be your example there.
If you'd like, I'll show you my Medicare card.
It's okay. I'm not that far behind. Anyway, so, and the disco ball is left over from my 50th birthday last year. So, anyways, so there was a Dance Dance Healthcare Revolution, which didn't happen this year. So it will happen again next year, though. So we're up to Fred Chaslow. We had bumped him to this heat from last heat 2 weeks ago. Probably gonna have another heat in about 2 weeks, right?
I think
So
that's Thanksgiving.
Well, maybe after Thanksgiving. So you'll see in December. Although we might be in different states at the time. We're gonna get on the road again. We're gonna go to California, North Carolina, and mostly because I'm getting the vaccine next week. So hopefully that'll work. So anyway, so that's stated. Let us move on to potassium. Fred, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
You are always ready. Take it away, Fred Chaslow.
Okay, my company name is Ioma, and we're going to be talking about diagnosis of preeclampsia. And the answers that I'm going to give to you are, it's all about potassium. Next slide, please. Here's a better picture of me with the, see, I clean up pretty nice sometimes. And this is my partner, Dr. Ron Buchner. He is on the faculty as chief of service in obstetrics at Rutgers. Next slide, please. And here's a summary of our discovery. What I've discovered is a new class of steroids. I call them spiral steroids because this carbon would be a spiral carbon. And this green section is a lactone, and that's also, both of those characteristics are unique to this new class of steroids. The third part of it, here's the structure of the first one that I discovered, and it also is a phosphocholine ester. So there are three novel things about these compounds. Next slide, please. And what's unique about this is, as I start up here, ionotropin is not an estrogen, it's not an androgen, it's not a progestogen, it's not a mineralocorticoid, it's not a glucocorticoid, it's a potassium-sparing hormone. There are no other potassium-sparing hormones known. There are potassium-sparing drugs. During the fetal period, the fetus needs a potassium-sparing hormone to concentrate the low levels of potassium in plasma to the high concentrations needed for cell growth. It's all about potassium. Next slide, please. And what we're working on is preeclampsia. Preeclampsia is a syndrome. It's not a disease. It's characterized by two different symptoms, hypertension and proteinuria at 20 weeks of gestation. At the moment, there's no diagnostic markers approved by the FDA. There's no approved treatment that's been tested and confirmed, and it's even worse than that because there's long-term consequences of preeclampsia. There's a 2 to 4-fold increased risk of cardiovascular events in affected women, and a 5-fold increased risk of renal failure, and a 2 to 4-fold increased risk even in the affected infants. Next slide, please. This is our prototype marker assay. The panel on the left shows the results we got with the normotensive pregnant women. And we had 20 samples from women from 24 to 26 weeks of gestational age. We've made the measurement of these three compounds. and that was our normal result. We took the normal result from this and then used that to develop Z-scores for the 20 samples from patients that we had of the same gestational age. And you can see these are two very widely different populations. 65% of the samples that we had were outside of the two standard of the Z-score 2.0 range and would be statistically different.
30 seconds, 30 seconds, Fred, get to the point.
Get to the point. Next slide, please. What we're finding, what we've gone through is we have a pathway that we think is going to lead to diagnosis and lead to therapy. Next slide, please. Our mission statement is to develop a screening test based on the spiral steroid precursors, identify the women who are developing type C preeclampsia and determine if disease progression correlates with the spiral steroid precursors. Every year, 50,000 women, no more slides. Every year, 50,000 women experience life-threatening events, and we're trying to help them. Thanks.
So how far, that's great, Fred. How far along are you in developing this diagnostic? I'm not clear on that.
We can make it work in the laboratory, and we have been doing it in patient samples for some time. We've looked at the 40 samples that I showed here, and we've looked at 40 samples from kids, and we've looked at a couple other diseases.
That one, yeah. So that's what this slide's about. The Z-score is basically showing it works, right?
This is about the Z-score is showing that it works.
Yeah, I think this slide's kind of unclear. What color means what?
They're color coded to all three of these compounds are precursors of spiral steroids.
And you can detect them. What are you using, like an HPLC or something like that?
No, this is coming out from mass spectroscopy. So we know the masses of the 475 says the mass that we measured was at 475 Daltons. We've already purified each of the 475 compound and the 313 compound to pure and identified their structure.
What's the next step to getting this to be a regularly, scheduled diagnostic?
Well, all we need to do is to set up the laboratory and
no,
go
but
through
you
the
need FDA approval and clearance and clinical benefits.
well, now one of the important points here is that preeclampsia is an orphan drug, so there are special approval processes for it to go through. The second thing is this is an LDT, laboratory developed test, and there are special approval processes for that.
So how long until you can get to market, and how much can you charge for it? And how much does it cost?
Other similar tests are charged at about $100 a sample. At our basic cost, as we estimated from our experience, is about $25 a sample. So we have a pretty good profit margin.
That's a cheap mass spec time. Okay, other questions from other mentors? So this is pretty exciting. I mean,
I have a quick question. So how is this better than existing ways of diagnosing? And is it more effective and accurate, or is it more convenient, or something else?
Okay, up to this now, the only diagnosis you have for preeclampsia is the two clinical features Okay, there is no approved diagnostic test that exists at this time. There's the best tests that they have a 30% detection rate. That's absurd. You can't do clinical studies with that. Here we have something that we can measure, and we can tell whether it's gotten worse or it's gotten better. You can't do that with hypertension, and you can't do that with proteinuria.
When do you administer this test? When they're symptomatic, or are you able to do it ahead of time?
These samples were from 24 to 26 weeks of gestation. What you're really trying to end up figuring out what to do about is the life-threatening disorders that usually start later in pregnancy. So your goal here is to identify which patients you're going to have to work pretty hard to follow. But every time I've talked about this to an OB who has patients, they get all excited and say, when?
That sounds great, Fred. What is there a CPT code for preeclampsia testing or no?
There's no test that's been approved.
Okay, so you need to get the AMA to get your code.
So our first project is our first things are to take care of the legal things, that is getting the CPT code, getting the LDT approval, and meanwhile restarting the laboratory.
Restarting? What, you closed one down?
Well, the laboratory that I have been using is at the VA Medical Center in San Francisco, where I am appointed as a visiting professor. The consequence of that is they have closed all the laboratories there to keep people out of contact with the
more of a COVID thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have an access to a laboratory at a bioscience incubator in San Francisco, but I need to put the equipment into the laboratory to make it work.
So this is
That's great. That's 4 minutes.
It's 4 minutes. Okay. So very, very exciting, Fred. I'm glad we got you on stage today. Great job.
Thank you.
What are those mountains behind you?
What numbers behind me?
Mountains. You got 2 peaks.
Oh, those are 2 peaks in Antarctica. On one of the two, which we saw from a cruise ship.
Very exciting. Really, cruise ship to Antarctica. I guess that you're not going to go on one of those again soon, though.
Well, I'm not going to go on any cruise ship until I can get vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants, got the number at AstraZeneca. It's not the Pfizer vaccine, but
it's Pfizer.
Well, Pfizer would be better, but this is the one that I got into. It's just a clinical trial, so it might not work. Okay, so folks, if you'll take a moment to fill out your forms. Good job. And I am done with mine, so hopefully everybody else is done with theirs. You guys are all faster than me, aren't you? You're probably not distracted by a million things. Okay, so now we've got actually a repeat performer with a new presenter doing it. I asked Thera to come back. Now they came in 4th place in a contest I ran a couple of years ago, but they had some founder struggles and things like that. But now they've actually got some clinical pilots going on and some more funding and things like that. So I think they might be at that viable point. What we look for actually in companies, a lot of times we know the companies for a while, but then they'll do a certain thing. They'll go through this inflection point and they'll get to the next level. So I'm hoping that there is at that next level. It's a virtual reality solution for kids with mental health needs. So Heather, if you're ready.
Ready.
Ready. Thank you for the extra innings, Heather. We are trying to go faster today.
You're doing great.
We're on track for 6:30. So if anybody has a complaint about me talking too fast or just being railroading things, it's basically Heather's fault. So because if it was up to me, I'd be here till like 8:30 or something, right? I like this. Anyway, okay, so Byron's here. I guess I got to shut up now.
Yes.
He's been here the whole time. He's been here since like 3:55.
Yeah, I've been in. Great presentation so far, by the way. I wanted to see if we can start with the visual video and then go to the deck, kind of switch it up a little bit.
It's your 4 minutes. They already began, so get going.
Oh, okay, great. Again, my name is Byron Booker with Thera VR. I'm actually head of business development. The founder, CEO, is a clinician by trade, and she started, you guys are, yeah, here we go. And so she founded it, but I'm gonna hop right into the product and we'll go through the deck. So if you push play. All right, so Thera VR is a behavioral health platform that actually brings in clinicians and patients into a visual reality world. So here's our avatars waiting in the waiting room. By the way, you can pick your own, the patient can pick their own avatar. They can also pick the avatar of their clinician. And there's a lot of significant modules and treatments that we can do in VR that we can't do in a Zoom call or traditional telemedicine. So here we are doing some acceptance therapy. There's some falling leaves. There's a lot of cool environments. You can go through, there's a tundra, there is a beach, there is a desert, all these different environments. And so here's a traditional office. The cool thing about this is that it's been proven to be very effective with adolescents and pediatrics, which is the focus of the platform right now. And with the rise of COVID, we found that there's a really big need for this. We've engaged several hospitals, school districts, as well as private practice to utilize this platform. But I wanted to show you how it works. You can, at any point in time, change your avatar, change your scene. This is available, by the way, in virtual reality on a headset like Oculus, or on your PC, on your mobile device. And right now, we just initiated our first contract with Dallas Children's, which treats about 35,000 patients per day, a really big account. And we're developing iPad for them, and that's going to be ready in a couple of weeks. So if you got any questions about this, we can address that in a bit. In the meantime, we can hop over to the slides, and I'll talk a little bit about our journey, where we are. Okay, so we are HIPAA compliant behavioral health. If you go to the next slide. We do have patents in the US, UK, Europe, basically, and United Arab Emirates. Go to the next slide. Next slide, please. You guys know the rise of COVID and how it's affected telemedicine, so I won't go through that. If you go to the next slide. Next slide. There's a big problem with drop-off rates with adolescents with traditional Zoom sessions. This actually has increased the engagement. It actually has been shown efficacy to include improve happiness and overall mood. If you go to the next slide. I'm rushing through this, I know. You go to the next slide. I wanted to definitely share that the children and a lot of the participants open up quite a bit more. There's been an increase, an amazing response in terms of the hospitals on the B2B side, but also individual clinicians, and the market is huge for the B2C side. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Again, we're available on 5 different platforms, soon to be 6. Next slide. We're focusing primarily B2B right now because we have just signed our first hospital contract, which is valued at $1.9 million. They've got a agreement with the individual school districts to deploy this to 140 schools. And we're gonna have basically headset stations throughout the school district. And
Byron, I think you're out of time, Byron.
Yeah, I'm out of time.
Okay, questions from the judges? So is that $1.9 million contract signed?
Yes, we just signed that. We're starting with the outpatient first, which is going to be 15 members of their staff, the therapists on staff. We're going to be utilizing this with all of their outpatients first, and the school program is going to happen next year. Between now and then, we're going to be training all the hospital clinicians, but then we're going to actually go into every school, 140 schools, and actually have basically a manager of the station. And that leads to the next big account. We've been in talks with CVS Health, and in January, we're going to initiate a small, basically pilot in one of their locations where you can go into a CVS and you actually can experience this on a headset device as well. So that's where we are in terms of the bill flow.
Byron, this is Deanna. It's on your slide, it said it was $650 for clinical costs and $550 for patient cost. Is that a one-time fee? Is that a yearly fee? How does it work?
That's the initial setup fee, and then the clinician sessions are range between $60 an hour up to $100 an hour, depending on the individual rate that they want to charge. and we take a platform percentage of that. And then as far as the hospitals, they do it on a license basis. And then the hospitals, we kind of do it as basically a 99 cents per user per month, is how we bill all the different schools.
So it's a setup charge. So it's one setup charge, and then it's a monthly fee based on how often they're going to their therapist.
Exactly. So it's similar to BetterHelp, if you're familiar with that model that they have in terms of individual, clinician patient on the B2C side.
Hey, Byron, quick question. In terms of the patents, are those approved patents or pending patents? And
yeah, it's patent pending. They're filed late last year, and we recently filed in the last few months for UAE, as well as
one more
EU.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of the once you are signed up with a hospital, what is it that you need to deploy to them, and how long does that process take?
So we basically go through their security compliance and make sure that it integrates with their system. They're going to need to basically, we have our own APK that we put on the headsets, so it's not something you can download in the Oculus store or anything. So it's secure. Just make sure that they have the devices. In this case, Dallas uses iPads with their patients, and all of their clinicians have iPads. So that's the hardware generally, and so we have all the secured servers on our side, which we manage. And so there's just a little bit of, security process, but other than that, it's just hardware, and they can kind of choose what platform they want to focus on.
Okay, thank you.
How are we doing for time, Heather?
About 20 seconds.
So tell me about retention. So if I'm a kid who's using it, what's the frequency that I'm going to use it again and stick with it? Is it like 95%, 90%? And how does that compare to regular therapy?
Yeah, so what we've discovered so far in our trials is that there's an increase of 30% in compared to traditional use.
Okay,
yeah.
So we're out of time, but judges, if you'll take a second and fill out the Thera. Great job, Byron, considering you're relatively new to the company. And I don't think you were clinical before. You're not the chief medical officer. I know that's Erin, but she's got to go see patients or something. You guys actually have a PC now too. You have a provider network. So all the providers work for you guys. Not all the providers. I imagine the hospitals provide providers, right?
Yeah, exactly. We just brought on Dr. Peter Greeny as our chief medical officer. He also invested in the company. We raised about a little under 600,000 so far. We're looking to raise another $1 million. He's our new chief medical as of recently. He also put in a nice size investment into the company. Peter Greeny, who also owns the company Safe Work, which is they do all of the PP. They do all of the COVID testing.
I'm sorry, Byron?
Yeah.
No. So hopefully everybody has filled out their forms, and last up, but not least by any means, Richard Hanbury, if you want to get your presentation ready. Richard's here, right? Richard? Was Richard here?
I'm here.
You've been very quiet, Richard. I've been hearing about Santa for years from Dan Rothman, and you guys have made some good progress, is my understanding. I keep wanting to get one of these devices, so hopefully you have one there, and you can just hand it across the screen to me or something. Not that I have chronic pain, but I tend to give it to people, so I want to give them this as well.
Well, you must say I need it every day.
Yeah, Pat needs it on a daily basis.
They are good for a nap. I did during the break go and have a 15-minute nap, which was literally.
Oh, you didn't participate in the Two Truths and a Lie fund? That was good. So
sorry? Yeah.
You missed the Two Truths and a Lie-a-thon. It was fun. Anyway, so we basically have the Santa app right here on our ceiling, right? No, you guys are better than that. Okay, so I will shut up. If everybody's ready, this is the last one. Then we'll do a little bit of math and we'll announce our winners. So take it away, Richard.
Okay, great, thank you. So yeah, so we're at home pain relief. This is the current device itself. I developed this for my own pain problem. I had a Jeep crash in Yemen in 1992. I had a choice between a head-on collision next to a petrol truck off a bridge. So I had ended up with spinal cord injury and traumatic brain injury and a nerve damage pain problem that was so severe I was given a 5-year life expectancy. So I made it for myself, fixed my own pain, and it's been a long journey since then. But 50 million people overall struggle with pain. You guys see digital health stuff the whole time, so you've probably seen a lot of these figures. Within that, fibromyalgia is one of the very worst types of pain with 10 million Americans diagnosed. The average 5 to 8 drugs, having to take one for each compounding comorbidity. So that's the problem we're solving. The overall pain market is close on 80 billion, growing at 6.5 CAGR, and 20 billion is roughly on the fibromyalgia portion. So the market needs a effective non-drug solution, which is what we are. So the device uses pulsed light through closed eyes and pulsed sound of the ears, and that is creating a neuromodulatory effect to produce very specific patterns in the brain that then reduce levels of relaxation, create a much greater level of relaxation, really quickly. Early clinical results, 20 to 40% reductions in pain, depending on the type of pain. Some types like mine, it was a total silver bullet and fixed it over 3 months. 49% reduction in depression and 45% reduction in anxiety. So by reference, we are outperforming Tramadol, Prozac, and Xanax. We're collecting that data as a digital through an app, both the objective data from the device itself and the subjective data of patient input. We're a class 2 device, so we are on market as a wellness device already. We are going through a de novo for fibromyalgia, and we have a novel mechanism of action. We are creating a hemispheric balance of EEG activity in the brain, which turns out is a very, very efficient way of creating a very deep relaxation effect very quickly. So we can do things which you can't do with any other method of neuromodulation, mostly around fixing that hemispheric balance and the things that come from that. Anxiety score reduction is top of all of our clinical results in every study we've done so far, and that drives all the other results. As a team, I've been at this for all of my adult life. Couldn't really build what I wanted till 2015, 2016, when wearable tech caught up with what I wanted, and have a very experienced team behind me. Go-to-market strategy, we're going after fibromyalgia because we've shown in clinical results already that we're 5 times better than the leading drug, which is Lyrica. Lyrica sold 4.8 billion in 2018, approximately half of that on fibromyalgia. We're going out at $50 a month. We know that people on average were spending $450 a month already out of pocket in 2012. We're having an 85% retention rate at the end of 1 year. So projections, if we get that $50 per month from 2% of the fibromyalgia population, that gets us to 100 million ARR. So we are halfway through our pivotal study. We are launching a wellness study on top of that to validate they're being paid out of pocket. Again, trial results 5 times better than the best drug. Massive long pipeline of other indications, because obviously we can go after all these other areas because of having a relaxation effect. We've raised 11 million to date. This round is 5 million. We closed on 2.5 million of that. As of this morning, we've got another 1 million already committed. So we're looking for the rest. So please join me on the journey to solve chronic pain. Acute pain has reasons that it should stay, but chronic pain we should be able to solve in every area that shows up. So thank you.
Great presentation, Richard, and definitely experience shows. Tell me about the hemispheric imbalance thing. Is that a true measure of pain? I don't know much about.
Yeah. So basically, when I was first approaching this, I realized that meditation is given for a lot of pain relief, but it doesn't really work very well. And the thought I had was, well, if I'd already meditated for 20 years, that'd be really useful right now. I then dug into neuroscience research of what happens when you meditate for 20 years. And I found this guy, this neuroscientist, who'd shown these 2-channel EEGs producing hemispheric balance in all of their long-term meditators. I then followed that research pathway to check out myself. And so far, in over 1,000 EEGs we've done, almost everyone has this kind of imbalance, which when you fix it, solves the chronicity of the pain.
So Richard, a great job. Paulo, how often you have to use it and for how long?
So the fibromyalgia patients started on average using it 5 times a day because we told them PRN whenever your symptoms are too bad. Their maintenance dose after 3 months, now at the year mark, is around about once a day, and it's 15 minutes each use. It's 15 minutes of each use as well, but most people are using it as they're going to sleep. So the opportunity cost of using it is minimal because you're speeding up the time at which it takes you to go to sleep.
I see that you're planning on 1,000 patients using it next year. How many have used it so far?
So so currently we've got 120 person study going on at Mount Sinai, 120 person study going on at Duke. We've sold 150 devices as a wellness device, and we got about 300 others out in various anecdotal tests with military and other patient groups.
So several hundred.
Sorry, what's your feedback? Have you spoken to insurance companies, and what's your feedback on this being reimbursed?
Yeah, so Anthem is moving faster than anybody else so far. They really want us to do Anthem.
Anthem.
Yeah, so we were part of the Anthem Scale Challenge, and they really want us to target lower back pain. We are negotiating with them of what that study should look like and for them to fund it. They basically, if you do a $45,000 back surgery, the precise ROI across their entire data set for the last 3 years has been 0. It does not lower the cost of care post-surgery.
Sign me up for the chronic lower back pain study.
So, Richard, why has direct to consumer not been huge for you already? I mean, why haven't you been selling more that way?
Basically, we've been doing small trials. The fibro trial was successful. That moved into the pivotal, and now we've got a COVID supply constraint, so we can only build another 1,500 before March. And 1,000 of those is going towards the study for to prove out the commercial paid out of pocket pathway on fibromyalgia.
But the product is done, right? I mean, you know exactly what to build, right?
Yeah, and what we've validated so far is being at the FDA.
A different way, Richard. If you're going to go direct to consumer, do you know what your CAC is if you went direct to consumer?
So currently our CAC is 0 because the worst of the worst, the people who are most desperate are finding us. On the fibromyalgia, we're estimating $100 CAC. Our partner, the Mighty, is actually estimating $30, which we think is going to be a little on the optimistic side, but I think 100 is actually realistic.
I'm more concerned about his cost of product. I mean, why is it so hard to build these things?
So
is it a bunch of just LEDs and some chips?
Yeah, and the sensor. I mean, the biggest challenge has actually been getting the sensor to work well. Our current POGS is 360. The version we're building now will be ready by mid-June, July, and that will be sub $100.
What's the sensor? Is it like an EEG sensor, or what are you doing?
It's a PPG sensor. Getting PPG off the forehead.
PPG?
In a good enough data integrity for what we need is actually has proven a challenge, but now we managed it finally.
Sorry, what kind of sensor is it?
It's a PPG.
Which
so it's a light-based sensor. The version we're building is a laser-based sensor, and that nails all of the problems. So we will have the best HRV data on any wearable by the time we build that.
That's great. That's 4 minutes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, let's give him another, since I kind of dominated the questions. Are there any other questions from any other mentors?
I'm sorry, maybe you can talk a little bit about patents on this?
Yeah, so 2 have been issued already. The first one was issued June last year, which covers the use of audio-visual rhythmic stimulation of any kind across a whole laundry list of every neurological symptom we can think of. The second patent covers the use of the sensor on the head to create a closed loop feedback system. That covers any auditory or visual or tactile stimulus.
Yeah. So let me modify my previous statement. One, Richard, if you answer questions, please just do one sentence because you're already out of time. Two, questions from somebody other than me or Paulo. Are there any other questions?
Yes, I do, Richard. Thank you for the presentation. Quickly, if you can describe the pivotal study that you're doing in terms of sample size and your acceptance criteria there. What are we testing?
Yeah, both of them are 120-person RCTs, double arm. The Duke study is also going into an efficacy phase afterwards for health economic data, but the 120-person double arm.
Okay, one more question. Anyone? Anyone? Okay.
I had a question.
Yes, Deanna.
I just wanted to see, it sounded kind of like EMDR almost. And you're talking about lowering anxiety and how could this maybe fit into that with some of the neurological situations that are going now, especially during COVID?
Yeah, we in our pipeline, we do have anxiety and depression studies lined up, and we're waiting on a military grant for PTSD.
That would be huge.
Okay, so judges, if you will take a moment and finish number 10, Santa Health, Richard Hanbury. And we now have a general discussion period, but please, if you're a judge, please finish it so I can get the data so we can do this here now. So if you guys want to ask any questions of any of the teams at this point, or just want to talk amongst yourselves, that's all good. But if you're a judge, please finish your form first. So open the floor to common discussions. Would you like to lead a discussion, Pat?
I wouldn't like to lead one.
You don't want to lead one? Okay. Feasibility, it's pretty feasible. Innovative, definitely innovative.
Hey, Richard, feel free to throw me one if you want me to test it for lower back pain. Off-label, out of study, of course.
Yeah, well, so we are available currently as a wellness device. So if you go onto the Sana website and use the code FAM30, it'll give you a family and friends discount. And if you don't get good enough results in the first month, you can return it and have a full refund.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, approximately 30% of back pain people say anxiety is the primary driver of how bad their back pain is on any given day. And that's our target within lower back pain. We can't affect the actual peripheral pain itself. We can only affect how the brain is actually dealing with that signal. Sure.
Okay. So Paulo, since I think you're done, I think I've seen a lot of you guys are done. I'm seeing your responses now. If you want to lead a discussion of any variety, you're welcome to, while I do some math. So, anyone? So the new mentors that are here tonight, what do you guys think? Something we could do better, something we could do worse? Any suggestions for us? We're amazing. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Amazing.
I got a suggestion.
I'm kidding. But you guys are great.
I have a suggestion. You could either schedule it for a longer amount of time or have less people in each one so that people got a little bit more time to talk, or so you don't have to worry as much about going over time.
That's the point, actually.
We could just plan on doing 3 hours for this many people or something.
No, that's what we did last time, and people are like, that's too much time. So,
less company, less time, less companies.
Maybe 2 days, Alex?
Well, no, this is our third day. We're going to do like 5 days, but we're done. So, yeah, that's the thing. It's like we'll get like 1,000 companies applying, and we already are filtering, but it gets to a point where we don't know how, who to exclude. I mean, you saw like there are very few companies here today that you'd say, oh, gee, that's not amazing. And therein lies the rub.
maybe send them some type of like practice pitch guidelines to make sure before they even come on that they're getting it down to, let's say, 3 minutes in case there's an interruption.
Yeah, no, and we do 3-minute versions sometimes. It gets a little hairy. Even now we usually do 5 minutes, and I found it to be luckily I can do math and talk at the same time. But I was missing that minute, to be honest. Okay, so my calculations are complete. Has every judge put their information in? If I can look in my magic window here and tell you which judges I don't have yet. I have responses from Betty, Blaine, Max, you're going to be excluded to some extent. Paulo, Neil, also excluded. Byron, also excluded. Rohini's in. George Hatzman is in. I'm in. Anne is in. Deanna. I don't see it's Suka. Okay, so we're waiting on Itsuka. Ed, Itsuka, did you already?
I'm sorry, it's because I stopped up choosing the shirt, but I'm about to do that. Sorry about that.
Ah, yes, the shirt.
The most important part of the survey.
So yeah, so incidentally, last year we had a very fun calendar that my brother and Heather put together, which was rather ridiculous. It was actually for my 50th birthday. Is rather Alex focused, which is fun, I guess, but I'm not really that interesting. But yeah, it's actually this is me and my brother and my sister. At the wedding.
There's a glare.
Yeah, well, that might be off my head. But there's lots of fun pictures in here, but it's not here. This is one of my favorites. This is me and my daughter when she was like 7. Anyway, so if you don't want to get another, mid-starter calendar for next year, full of pictures of Alex, which is really not that much fun. What we would normally do is, when we go around, we do these events around the country, around the world. Yeah, that world thing didn't happen this year so much.
Actually, didn't really happen this year either.
Well, we got to like 9 cities, but that was all like in January and February. And we're going to start going. We're going to North Carolina. We're going to go to California. So if you don't want to just see pictures of me and Pat, although there are some pretty funny ones, especially from
some
today.
good ones today.
Then please take a picture of yourself in your MedMo Momentum shirt, and maybe we'll do like a MedMo World Tour, type of thing. Okay, so I see Itsuka's in here. I see Katie's in here. Good. And let me just take out some of these other ones. Did you guys see the crazy glasses we made? Pat, show them the glasses. So we don't just do hardship. So some people reacted badly to our symbol of the dumpster fire. I can't see anything with these things on, but they're pretty cool. So we like to have lots of props, for our show. So anyway, so I do need to exclude some of these teams here. So I just need to do a little bit of data. Oh, you did that yourself. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so if you are a contestant, I would appreciate it always if you do not score your own presentation, because that kind of skews the data and just kind of pisses us off. So, Kat, thank you, Kat, for putting your scores in. Are we missing anyway? Blaine, if I haven't read your name, then I do not have your scores yet. Neil, you didn't take yourself out. Now I got to figure out which one you are.
I didn't realize it wouldn't. I thought it wouldn't advance if you didn't fill it out.
No, you can always hit next.
Okay. I won't do that again. I apologize.
Don't do it again.
Okay.
Okay. The seventh one. Number 7 for Neil. I mean, I understand that you guys like your own, presentation is the best, but it's, there's a limit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You actually didn't even score yourself that high, Neil. You're very fair.
Thank you.
Not as fair as
Not as fair as
10,
Not
9,
as fair,
8.
honestly.
Thank you. That's good. Well, you did give yourself a 10 on scalability. Okay, so that's, but only 5 on your presentation. You really shouldn't be so down on yourself, Neil. Sorry. I really like having access to a lot of data. You know, maybe I abuse that power sometimes, but you know, it's only for good purposes. Okay, Mory.
Every time Alex has to work in a spreadsheet, he like face lights up.
That is true, but that's just the glow of the screen coming back to me. Okay, we have all the data now. Okay, so enough bothering on. So drum roll. Actually, no, I'm not quite done yet. Sorry. Because, you know, it's not always exactly obvious, but yeah, this is pretty obvious. That's the first place team. Second place team, oh, that's a surprise. Third is often difficult. Not today. No, we got a tie for third, as usual. 3 and 3. Wow, good job. Let's see, is anybody else that's doing really good? So, okay, first of all, and probably just as important as anything else, you know, let's throw this one in here too, because I like them. Now you see how it really works. So really amazing group of teams, everybody from Fred Chaslow to Richard at the end. I mean, really seriously great presentations. The reason that we do this isn't just to find investments. The reason actually we try to find investments is because we love driving innovation forward and helping companies get what they need to succeed. As I'm sure you saw in a lot of these cases, the companies didn't have everything they needed to succeed just yet, but they're making progress. So we want to find the companies that are making enough progress that we can then justify us throwing our investors' money and our money into the companies and our time and our effort into the companies without having an unsustainable model. I know I did that for years and years. I helped hundreds of companies, you know, just by giving them advice. And Paulo can talk about this too. He's done this, and a lot of the mentors here. We do a lot of things for startups because we love the idea of helping these startups along. So now we actually have a fund behind us, and we can actually give real money, real support. When we call up Sanofi Ventures or Dexcom or whoever, say, hey, we've got a great idea, they take the call. And it's really been helping our startups get forward faster. We also have amazing mentors, like some of the people here, plus others who have brought companies forward, got them into the insurance company contracts, and even people we know. So take, for example, my friend Mona Siddiqui, who spent a lot of time at HHS. She just jumped to Humana, and gee, surprise, surprise, a digital therapeutic just got a contract with Humana. Why? Because we introduced Mona to Meta, you know, years ago, and now that Mona is at is now at Humana, that's why Miami got their next contract there. Okay, well, maybe that's not the whole reason, but it doesn't hurt to have people on the inside. So we have this enormous network of people who can help these companies, your companies, and we love being able to help you guys. So. But everybody who gets on stage here, you just got exposed to, you know, another couple hundred people, and then it's going to be on MedStutter.tv. People are going to watch it. People will come see it. We'll promote it. Also, of course, if you have a project on MedStutter.com that goes out to thousands of people every week, and people get notified when they have a project in their area of interest. So, so anyway, all of that is by way of saying, you're all winners. We'd love to help all of you. You don't have to just present once here at MedStarter. Thera, for example, this is their third time, and they are in the winner's circle again. We're very excited to see that. And that means we're going to put them through our due diligence process. Again, they were already on our watch list, meaning that we've been paying attention to them, monitoring them. We talk to the founders. We help them through their problems. We make them references and what do you call them? Referrals to the right people and give them some mentor time and things like that. So all the companies that are here today, you're all semifinalists, you're all doing great, and we'd love to keep talking to you. That stated, there has to be winners, right? Just so we can choose who we're going to go to next. So without further ado, okay, the third place, what we call show in this contest, because unlike a lot of people, I learned how to do math actually at the racetrack. So it's win, place, and show here. So third place is called show. And we actually, as usual, because I do love all these startups so much, I want to have more of them in my due diligence process. We have 3 third place winners. So these are crowd favorites, ones that people liked, and there's a lot of feedback for. So the first of the 3 is Active Air, the first one earlier today. That was the face shield, you know, with the UV light in it. I'm not sure how long that'll be relevant, but I think Corona's with us for a while yet, even if we get vaccinated. So I think that's a great thing. Great job, Boris. We look forward to talking to you sooner. You're all going to get emails from Patrick, who's going to say, give us all your other data, and we're going to do a more in-depth analysis. The second showing team is TERZAG, which is led by Neil Safian. Thank you, Neil. Really great job. And thank you for the referral to them, Lindy. I think they some great stuff there. And then, as I said before, Thera made it to the winner circle again. They are the third place team, also known as show. So you guys showed really well, Byron. Great job showing off where Aaron has taken the project, the company in the last couple of years. So all of that, those are all of our crowd favorites, and that's what we got. So congratulations, great job, everybody. So the second place team, there's only one, goes to Max Ostermeier from Implandata. So great job, Max. I did not see that coming. We didn't predict that. No, didn't. What was your prediction that was going to win? Do you remember? Did they win?
No,
Okay,
they did not.
okay, they didn't win. Okay, my prediction to say who was going to win actually did win. So great job, Richard Hanbury from Santa Health. You are definitely going to get into our next round and of evaluation in the due diligence process. So that wraps up our 210th event, I believe. And we love you all. You know, this is what we do, right? So we love the startups. So great job. And those of you who did make the winner circle, we will be seeing you soon. Everybody who didn't, come on back anytime, and we'd love to see you again. I think that's our show for tonight.